The hollow beneath Myron's ridge. I want to say this clearly before anything else, in case I don't get the chance later. If you ever hear about hikers going missing near a ridge with a cave nobody bothers to name on maps, do not go looking for answers yourself. Call someone. Call anyone. Just don't go down there with a flashlight and a notebook like I did. My name doesn't matter much for this. What matters is that I run a small outdoor survival blog, the kind nobody reads except a few hundred people who like videos of me building fires in the rain. 6 months ago, one of those few hundred people sent me a message that changed everything. "There's a cave near my town," she wrote. 11 people have gone missing there since 1987. Local cops stopped investigating years ago. They just put up a fence and a sign that says unstable terrain. Do not enter. Nobody talks about it anymore. I think something is wrong with that place. I get messages like this constantly. Usually I ignore them. But she included a list. 11 names, 11 dates, spread out over almost 40 years. Hikers, 2 geologists, a teenage boy who'd gone in on a dare, a woman in her 60s who'd simply walked her dog past the fence one morning and never come home. What caught my attention wasn't the disappearances themselves. It was the pattern. Every single person had gone missing in the months of September or October. Every single year had exactly 1 disappearance, sometimes 2, never more, never less, like clockwork. And the cave itself, according to old geological surveys I found online, had been flagged decades ago for atmospheric anomalies, a phrase that meant nothing to me until I learned what it actually meant. I'm not going to pretend I was being smart about any of this. I was excited. I told myself I was doing research, that I'd film a documentary, that I'd be careful. I packed 3 flashlights, a headlamp, 2 days of food, rope, a first aid kit, and a gas detector I'd bought used online and barely tested. I told my sister I was going camping for a long weekend, and didn't mention the cave at all. The fence around the entrance was rusted through in places, easy enough to step over. The sign had faded so badly, I could barely read the warning anymore, just the shape of letters bleached by 30 years of sun. Behind it, the cave mouth looked unremarkable. A dark seam in gray rock, maybe 8 feet wide, sloping gently downward. Cool air drifted out of it, carrying a smell I couldn't place at the time, something mineral, slightly sweet, almost like wet stone in old pennies. I want to describe the first hour accurately, because everything about it felt completely normal. The passage was wide enough to walk upright. My headlamp threw long shadows across walls striped with mineral deposits, rust-colored and pale green. I found old graffiti from decades ago, names and dates scratched into soft rock, proof that people had come this far and walked back out just fine. I remember feeling almost disappointed. I'd expected something more dramatic than a slightly DAMP tunnel. The gas detector started clicking around the 90-minute mark, but the reading stayed low, well within normal range for a cave system. I noted it, kept walking, told myself it was probably nothing more than trace amounts of natural gas seeping up from limestone, the kind you find in caves all over the world. It was around 2 hours in that the tunnel split for the first time, and I made the decision that looking back probably saved my life and also doomed me to never being able to prove any of this to anyone. I went left into a narrower passage that sloped down sharply, because the air felt slightly warmer there. And warm air in a cave usually means there's a larger chamber somewhere below, drawing currents through the rock. I was right about the chamber. I just wasn't prepared for what was waiting in it. The passage opened without warning into a cavern large, enough that my headlamp couldn't reach the far wall. The ceiling rose up into darkness above me, and the floor was uneven, broken by what looked like old rockfall. Boulders the size of cars scattered across a floor of pale, almost white stone. I remember thinking the stone looked too smooth, too rounded, like something had worn it down over a very long time, in a pattern that didn't match the slow drip of water I'd seen elsewhere. In the cave, that's when I found the first body. I won't describe everything about it. I'll just say it had been there a long time, long enough that it had become part of the cave itself, partially fused into a mineral crust along the chamber wall, the kind of slow calcification that usually takes centuries, not decades. Next to it, scattered like they'd been dropped in a hurry, were the remains of camping equipment from at least 3 different eras. A canvas pack that looked decades old, a modern aluminum hiking pole, a cell phone, its screen long shattered, its case faded to gray. I should have left then. I know that now with a clarity that makes my chest hurt. But I'd found exactly what I'd come looking for, and some instinct in me, some terrible curiosity, pushed me forward instead of back toward the surface. The gas detector started clicking faster as I moved deeper into the chamber, the readings climbing steadily, but never quite reaching the danger threshold, hovering just below it in a way that felt almost deliberate, though I told myself that was impossible. Gas doesn't think. Gas doesn't wait. I found the source near the back of the chamber, a fissure in the cave floor, maybe 3 feet across, exhaling a slow, steady breath of warm air that smelled stronger now, that mineral sweet odor I'd noticed at the entrance, thick enough now that I could taste it at the back of my throat, metallic and faintly cloying. I want to be honest about what happened next, because I've turned it over in my mind 1,000 times since, trying to separate what I actually saw from what my brain might have manufactured under whatever was leaking from that fissure. I believe now that the gas itself was the entire answer, some combination of trace minerals and a slow vent of geothermal gas, undetectable by my second-hand monitor in the specific combination it was venting, capable of inducing disorientation, hallucination, a pull toward the source that mimicked curiosity, but was really just a symptom. The way carbon monoxide makes people lie down and fall asleep in their own garages without ever feeling afraid. I believe that, and most days I manage to convince myself of it, but I also remember, with the clarity gas shouldn't be able to produce, standing at the edge of that fissure and feeling absolutely certain that something on the other side of it knew I was standing there. It felt me. It sensed me. Knew, the way you know someone is in a room with the lights off before you've consciously registered any sound or movement. I don't remember deciding to back away. I remember the decision arriving in me, sudden and complete, the way you decide to pull your hand back from a stove before the pain even registers. I remember running, stumbling over the white stone, my headlamp beam swinging wildly across bodies I hadn't noticed on the way in, more of them, half fused into the walls, and floor like the chamber had been slowly digesting them for half a century. The climb back up took less time than I remembered it taking on the way down, though my watch later told me it had taken almost 3 hours, time I have no memory of experiencing at all. I came out of that cave at dusk, badly dehydrated, with no memory of drinking any of the water I'd packed, and with exactly 4 hours missing from a trip I'd carefully tracked on my phone. The entire way down, I never went to the authorities. I know how that sounds. I told myself it was because I had no proof, because a story about bodies and bad air and a feeling of being known by something in the dark would get me laughed out of any police station, or worse, get me charged with trespassing on land that had clearly been fenced off for a reason. I told myself I'd go back with better equipment, a proper gas analyzer, a team, someone who could verify what I'd seen. I haven't gone back. I don't think I want to go back, and I don't think I ever will. What I will tell you, the only warning I can offer that isn't tangled up in things I can't prove, is this: the readings on my gas detector should have killed me. By every chart and table I've since researched for that combination of compounds at that concentration, they didn't. They stayed just low enough the entire time to let me keep walking deeper into that chamber on my own legs, fully conscious, fully capable of turning around. I don't know if that's because the gas wasn't doing what I think it was doing. I don't know if it's because something wanted me to keep walking, and there are still 11 names on that list I was sent 6 months ago. I checked again last week. Out of habit I can't seem to break. There are 12 now.